In 1971, a small advertisement appeared in the back pages of Scientific American. It read, simply, "Never be alone again." It has been estimated that some 30 people responded to the ad, and another 17 the following year. However, it cannot be ascertained at this point whether those 52 participants comprised the entirety of mail-in replies or merely selected out of a larger pool. In either case, each of the 52 respondents received a package approximately 6 weeks after enclosing $12 in an envelope and sending it to a P.O. box in St. Paul, Minnesota. The package contained a simple light board, various cables, a 103A modem, and a black button that depressed with a satisfying click. Those given to pursuing the advertisements of Scientific American had little trouble connecting the pieces. The light board sparkled with an array of small LEDs in seemingly random formations. The button alone did not seem to have any purpose or effect, lying dormant beside the cables. In 52 living rooms, puzzled men and women stared at the board, trying to understand the patterns of light. And the patterns were, around 5 p.m., a great number of lights flashed on. So, too, around 9 a.m., during business hours there was mostly blackness on the board. Late in the night, clusters shone, and in the pre-dawn hours, there was always one or two. Slowly, 52 souls began to realize that the tiny lights must ignite when other users turn their systems on. That each LED was another person who had seen the St. Paul ad, so was staring intently at the board, who was alone, who was like them. The button presented a mystery. Though each one of them experimented with it innumerable times, the light did not seem to be affected. Through the winter, 52 boards glittered in the dark, and 52 people watched the other lights steady, unblinking, silent and anonymous, but somehow comforting. In St. Paul, Minnesota, Milo Barnes sat at the switchboard of an AT&T public branch exchange. He worked the night shift, connecting jack to jack, watching the lamps light as calls connected. The drone of human conversation always in his ears. He was a quiet man, taciturn towards his fellow operators, isolated in his threadbare chair. One of the only black families in his rural hometown, he never had many friends. Milo had gone to the city after a brief try at college and found himself enveloped in the warm arms of Ma Bell. He remained introverted and painfully shy, despite being surrounded by a cloud of lively talk every night. In the 18 months that the 103 modems were active, he never mentioned his thoughts to anyone, was never caught taking them from branch offices, and moved through the PBX like a ghost. In March 1972, the light boards began to blink. It was not a very great logical jump for Barnes's enthusiast to recognize Morse code, and it was, after all, a short and simple message, repeated endlessly. All's well that ends well yet. Rosemarie Gasquion of New Orleans was the first to answer. She had sat with her light board for hours each evening, accompanied only by 2 disinterested tabby cats. She said later that her heart had just plain stopped when the lights began to flicker on and off. The whole world just held its breath. I could hear the blood rushing in my head. I knew what to do. What the hell else was the damn button for? It just took me a couple days to work myself up to it. It was like sending a message to God. She reached out to the all but forgotten black button and tried to remember what she knew of Morse. She was not the last. Danny McKitterick sent his message from Portland just minutes after Rosemarie. By all accounts, and in the very small hours of a Minnesota dawn, Milo Barnes sat breathless among his jacks and his lamps as, one by one, they flashed on and off. A slow and tremulous human server in the days before the whole of the world was networked, thus finishing his line, answering his brief, quiet message, lights in the dark. Over and over, again and again, Milo must have smiled, and it's a comfort to think of him smiling. While the other operators worked around him, oblivious, he sent out a new message to each machine that had supplied the coded response he sought, and this one was simpler than the others, more direct, and more frightening. Pick up the phone at midnight. As the moon came up in St. Paul, Milo Barnes closed his eyes and slotted a silver jack into place, and another, and another. San Francisco to Cheyenne, Phoenix to Charlotte, Seattle to Sacramento, New Orleans to Portland. Milo sat among his lamps and wires, his hands taut, and held his breath. In Louisiana, Rosemarie Gascon held hers and put her ear to the receiver. Hello?